How do you handle failure? You miss a shot, you strike out, you don't get a good time in a race, you have a bad workout, you get a bad grade, you trip and fall, Like, how do you handle that? Anatomically, like hormonally, what happens when we slouch? Our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, goes up. And our testosterone, and ladies, we have testosterone too, at smaller amounts than men, but testosterone, our performance hormone, goes down. If I put my head down and I'm starting to get pissed off, I'm starting to get discouraged, what are you now thinking about?
Oh, is she okay?
The Fierce Athlete Podcast is here to empower female athletes to thrive in their God-given identity and femininity. You are a daughter of God, fully feminine, fully strong. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fierce Athlete Podcast. We are your co-hosts, Sam Kelley
And Julianna Dalton.
And we are shifting gears again.
Yep.
We spent the last month talking about the importance of our bodies, physical health, the view of our bodies. But as human persons, we're body, soul, and we like to throw the mind in there. And so we really need to, and it's important to focus on integration.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that word integration is, if you want to be the best athlete you can be, you have to focus on the physical, you have to focus on the mental, and you have to focus on the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this, Julianna, what percentage of sport, maybe let's think to your like collegiate volleyball career, what percentage do you think was physical versus mental?
I think it was 85% mental, 15% physical.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that's front of the, I've heard 80-20, but
I would argue the extra 5% is like the recovery mental piece. That's where I was like, okay, when I'm not playing though, my mental's still going sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Whether it's visualizing or processing or
debriefing,
trying to shut your mind off, all the things.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, that's why, it's so important, and we can intuit it. Like athletes can intuit the mental piece is so important.
Right.
Because it does have a drastic effect, not only on the physical life, but it has a drastic effect on the spiritual life. Now, next month, we'll talk about the spiritual, which is kind of like I think it's the secret sauce, the hidden of the three. Like we don't really think about, well, if we are actually spiritually sound and tough, it's going to help us mentally and physically. But we're going to spend this month on the mental.
Yeah. And that 80-20, if you will, or the 85% mental, a lot of that includes failure. Failure is a huge part of the mental game. And a lot of us athletes, there's really not athletics without failure. That's the whole point of winning and losing, right?
Yeah.
Like one team fails and the other team is reaping the benefit of it. So, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Again, as an athlete, I hear the word failure, and it's like there's two sides to it for me. Like in some regards, I hate failure and I cringe. I'm like, oh, I hate to fail. But I know that the times I failed and learned to handle failure well, those have been my biggest growth opportunities.
Yeah.
So we have like this complicated relationship with failure, I feel like.
Yeah. So where do you think our minds go as athletes when we fail?
That's probably a question I would put to our audience.
Yeah.
It's like, just take a beat for a second, and where does your mind go when you fail? Because I think first we have to diagnose it, right? What are the bad ways that we handle failure? Because there's the argument, does failure really exist? If you learn from it. But it's a huge part of sport. And so how do we handle it? So I would just ask our audience members just to pause for a second. Like, how do you handle failure? You miss a shot, you strike out, you don't get a good time in a race, you have a bad workout, you get a bad grade, you trip and fall, Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah. I think there's definitely two ways in which I myself handled failure. One, it was the outwardly like, like I just failed. And and then the other way I think was like what I would tell myself is like, I think we talked about this way back in month 1 with identity. It's like, that sucked. I don't suck. So I think it goes internal and external. There's lots of ways that athletes express it.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's start with the internal. I would like to talk about both those things.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. I think there's the internal dialogue and the importance, what you just said, of dividing action from identity. But then there is this whole physical element of like the shoulder slump or the smack in the hands or whatever. So yeah, let's start mental. I mean, it's interesting, like women specifically, though men, struggle with cyclical thinking and things, but our brains are wired in a way where they're so interconnected and they're so fast moving. So I'll always joke, and I every single time I say this, I get a reaction from an audience because they know it's true. It's like you miss a serve, right? You serve into the net. Okay. Suddenly it becomes, well, that was embarrassing. I suck. I should quit volleyball. I'm a loser. Everybody just saw that. I should probably just like go crawl in a hole and never come out. And like, that's the PG version. Right. It's usually a lot harsher. And that all happens within like 0.5 seconds. Right. Like we spiral really dark, really fast. At least I have in the past.
Yeah. And that mental spiral, like you said, it happens in 0.5 seconds. It's so hard, but so rewarding when you're like, I'm not going to let myself do that spiral. Yeah. That's the good. That's like, it's so fast that it happens, but there's also like, we can train ourselves as athletes to be like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not going to let myself spiral.
Exactly. Yeah. And you make a point, like we can train ourselves. And you just said that, and that doesn't intimidate me as an athlete. It's like, oh, I know what it is to train. Like, oh yeah, give me a task. I want to get better in this. Well, it's called neuroplasticity. Those psych majors out there, it's a big term. But we can basically rewire our brains. The brain is like a muscle in the fact that like we can train it. We can train new neural pathways and new ways of thinking. Because right now, if you encounter failure or you encounter something tough and your brain does spiral, that's actually the learned pattern of thinking. And to your point, how empowering when we can just catch ourselves. Yeah. Right? So this is what I tell athletes. I mean, it's super simple. It's super practical. I think, next week, we're going to get into some like deeper techniques to deal with some of this. But in terms of like just good, practical, quick takeaways, something I always did and something I encourage athletes to do is to pick a statement. And what I mean by that is it's something that you can say that will stop the pattern of thinking. So it's like a kind of like a trigger phrase. But I think there's an extra element here. We hear different techniques like, oh, you can snap like if you're wearing a hairband, you can snap the hairband to bring you back to reality, or you can, but those things are almost, they're good, but they only operate on like the natural level. Because let me ask you this, when you start telling yourself you suck, when you fail, like who's happy about that?
No one.
Except for?
You're our opponent, really.
Yeah, who is spiritually evil, right? The devil, evil spirits. Like who, like that's not from God when we start saying those crappy things about ourselves. Like that's the evil one. And so there's actually a whole, and again, we'll get into it next week, little teaser, but when you pick a statement, don't just have it be like, you got it. You got the next one. Like root it in truth. So if you haven't listened to our identity month, specifically our first 2 identity podcasts, actually all 4 of them hit on this point. They're all fire. Pick a truth of who you are, which isn't in what you do. It's not what you look like. It's not in what you just did, right? It's like, I'm a daughter of God, could be your statement. Or it's something, a spin-off of your identity, right? Like my statement is, I am enough. I am chosen. I am loved. I am worthy. And again, it separates us from the action. It just reminds us of who we are, but it also has a spiritual power.
Yeah, those, I think you told me to do those statements way back, like my freshman year of college. Like you need to write it on your finger tape, on your shoe, whatever it was. And I didn't really realize how much it allowed me to surrender to God what I was feeling mentally. Like that one statement, I just felt, like I just surrendered everything I'm feeling, the anxiety, the mental struggles of trying to compete at a high level 24/7. I was like, I'm just going to surrender it all. Like it almost like instantly made me surrender. Yeah. What, is there anything that we can provide to athletes to help them get to that point? Yeah.
Well, I mean, 2 thoughts came to mind. my athletes who are listening are going to joke because the second one I give out all the time. But the first is I just want to point out, like, I love how a moment of failure became a moment of surrender. Like, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
That, it's like, and I love that you wrote it. That's why I encourage you, write it on on your finger tape, or I used to tape my wrist, write it somewhere where you can see it, because when you fail, or you're having a really hard time and the ball goes out of bounds, or you're running and you look down at your watch, whatever, you can see the statement, and it kind of is that reminder. And it might be like you get 4 statements in, like, I suck, that was embarrassing, I should hide, nope, I'm enough. But then soon it's I suck, no, I'm enough, and soon it's I'm enough. Like, that's your response.
You're not letting yourself spiral.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's super powerful. We'll talk later about other people, but it's really powerful when you have a close friend that you can tell your statement to. Because when they see you start spiraling, it's like, hey, you're enough. Trigger. Right? I'm out of it. But the second, and this is this is on repeat. I've probably made you pray it. I've prayed it. So many of my athletes have prayed it, is the surrender novena. Oh, for those of you who don't know what a novena is, it's a 9-day prayer. And there's just a wisdom in that. I'm sure there's a reason it's 9 days. I don't know. But there's a wisdom in making you pray something for 9 days. Because what can happen over a 9-day period is it's different than just once. Yeah. But the surrender novena, and we'll put it in the show notes. It's called, I think it's the official title is like the Novena of Surrender to the Divine Will of God. And it's
so good. And we're surrendering to the will of God. The will of God doesn't include all these spirals, right? It's like, where does our second point of internal versus external, it's like, if we're surrendering our mind to the will of God, then our body language and all of that is going to be surrendered as well. But that's the whole part of failure, is our whole, like, body language, part of it. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, what do you do, right? That was a pretty good impersonation. You should probably play that back. Check it out if you're not watching. Watch the, But it's true. What did you just do? It's like your shoulders slumped, head goes down, right? You smack your hands together. Well, it's fascinating because when we do that, like the body speaks a language. When we do that, anatomically, like hormonally, what happens when we slouch is that our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, goes up. And our testosterone, and ladies, we have testosterone too, at smaller amounts than men, but testosterone, our performance hormone, goes down. So you slump your shoulders like this, and are you like setting yourself up for success? No. And so it's really important to, like, not only recognize why you're doing that, I'll get to that in a second, but this is setting you up for further failure. Versus, pick your head up. It's like when you ever coach ever say that
pose.
To you. Yes. Do you want to do the power pose? Let's ready. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
hands up. I did.
I always did, like,
you did the
superhero.
I love that. Julianna had her hands on her hips. I put mine in the air. But there is actually something to that. I feel I feel good. Do you feel a shift?
Oh, I feel great. Yeah.
It's like, if you're listening, do a power pose right now. It's like the opposite happens.
Yeah.
Cortisol down, testosterone performance up. And so when your coach yells at you, I mean, my coaches used to say this all the time, pick your head up. Your eye roll. But
right.
They probably didn't know the truth of it, but there's actually deep truth to that. The other thing to kind of ask, if I can challenge us a little deeper, is why do we actually put our heads down? Like, what's the motivation behind that?
It's almost like, look at me.
Yeah.
I failed.
Oh.
Poor me.
Poor me.
Right.
So it's pride. It's like, and I'm guilty of this, gosh. It's like, I want everybody else to know that I know that I failed.
Yeah.
It's like, they already saw it. They already know.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting in volleyball specifically too, when as soon as the point is over, who won or who didn't. If it ends in a block, if it ends in a kill, the digger's mad, the blocker's mad, someone is mad. But what I love about volleyball is everyone comes to the center, no matter what, every single time. And I don't think if I played, in all honesty, if I played soccer, I would be like, screw it. I'm just, I think it's so good in volleyball. Like, you have to come. Like, both teams are doing it, win or lose the point. So I think if you play a sport that's not like that or doesn't have a ton of huddles or whatnot, it's like really, really take that power pose and like use it, because it instantly changes from pride, look at me, to, okay, I got the next one. I can still do this.
Yeah. And you make a really interesting point, because not only are you setting yourself up, but, it's super interesting. And I talked about women's brains kind of in the beginning of this, but and this is how we're designed. We talked about this, I think last month. We're designed around a void. We're designed around a void. We're designed for relationship. So we're super attentive to each other. So if I put my head down and I'm starting to get pissed off, I'm starting to get discouraged, what are you now thinking about?
Oh, is she okay?
Yeah. So there's a selfishness too.
Yeah.
Because, and some of it is like, oh, poor me. Yeah, look at me. Pride, selfishness. But the people that are now giving me attention are my teammates. And then they are now being distracted.
Yeah.
Versus what you just said, coming together in a huddle, or, I think a really, really powerful way to kind of overcome this is kind of, what's your next action? It's like, when we focus on next action, it's super powerful. But one of those next actions we already talked about, and we'll talk in a second about a few more, is, can I pick my head up? I'm not owning it. I'm not being like, I don't care, right? That's the other spectrum. Like, it's not my fault. But you pick your head up, you maybe do a little nod, you own it, but you say your statement, you let it go. Because then everybody else isn't going to be like, oh, is Sam okay?
Worried about her, right?
They can move on too.
Next play.
Yeah, next play. So let's talk about next play. I think when we're talking about failure, it's like, okay, when I fail, the two things that it affects, well, three things I'd say, are mental spiral, my body language, but then both of those things affect what I do next. And I think when we can take the step to control what we do next, it's one of the most powerful ways to overcome it. So whether it's your statement, whether it's fixing your body language, but I think to what you just said, it's about the next play.
Yeah. How can I be better the next touch? Because it's coming no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. I think, to your point of having someone on your team of, hey, like, this is my statement. Can you help me out? I think that's huge. I think share it with a teammate, choose a teammate in your same position, or they play right next to you.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I take I'm not spiraling. Here's my statement. So I'm putting it externally, and it's someone bringing me out of it. But also it's like, okay, next play. Like, it doesn't matter. That one's over.
Yeah.
I think that's so hard for athletes, is we fail and we see that number. We see it as like a check mark almost on a list of like, well, I failed here. Yay, I got a point here. But it's like, that checklist doesn't matter if all we're thinking about is winning the next point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think what you just said requires a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
To a teammate to say, hey, I reckon it's self-awareness, which I think as athletes, we're pretty self-aware. We know how we handle failure. Like when I said that in the beginning, like, how you do it not so great, or how you've improved, or it's kind of probably a spectrum. But I think as women, we sometimes can be hesitant to give each other feedback, or to give it in a way that's helpful. Whether it's you yell at the person, or you got it, or that's not always the most effective and the most constructive. And so if you recognize in yourself, hey, when I'm spiraling, the most effective thing to help me is to remind me of my statement and give me a high five. Being able to tell somebody that gives them then permission to help you. And I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're on a team for, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think the other thing too, so we have somebody kind of pull us out of it if we need. But I think some of the most powerful moments in sport are when somebody fails and then they make the next play. Or like in soccer, it's maybe a little bit different than volleyball, but maybe not. You get blocked, you make the next play. But like there was a game I was watching, and I was watching a college girls team that I'm pretty involved in. And I'm on the sidelines, and I'm standing next to one of the players' moms, and her daughter goes in and as a sub, and the first play she gets stripped of the ball. And it's like your first play, you want to make a good impression. Yeah. Like you're always nervous for the first touch, right?
Right.
She gets stripped of the ball, which means she gets tackled. The ball is taken away from her. She turns around, chases the girl down, and wins the ball back. And the crowd erupts. And they were playing a team that was higher ranked than them. The other team was dominating them. They just didn't have the hold on the game. And I turned to her mom and I said, that one play is going to change the momentum of this game. And it did. Because she chose not to dwell in her failure. And this wasn't the star. This was a kid coming off the bench.
Right.
Who was just mentally tough and decided in that moment, I'm not going to put my head down and I'm going to make the next play. It's like, I'm going to do the next thing right. Or attempt to,
Yeah.
And, she had success, but it was all her teammates, instead of focusing on her, were now able to feed off her energy, to feed off the tackle. And the whole momentum of the game shift. They ended up going on to win the game. But I would attribute it to one play.
Yeah.
From one player that you wouldn't think would be the momentum changer.
The one time she didn't let herself spiral or have bad body language, she's, okay, I got it. I'm going to do this. And I think that's also so powerful as athletes, as female athletes, is we have that emotional awareness too, to be like, okay, I'm not going to let myself do this.
Yeah.
It's so good to see an athlete in volleyball all the time. You get stuff blocked and you tell your setter, set me again. It's like, and then you tool the heck out of them next time. It's kind of cool. So
I love that confidence.
Yeah.
Set me again.
Yeah.
Because not only is that communicating your own confidence, but that's telling your setter that you're good.
Right.
So she's not hesitant to set you the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I would argue maybe, well, there's probably many ways, but at least what we're going to talk about today. I think that's like the last point of how I would say we can handle failure well. Is if you don't have the opportunity like that soccer girl did to make the next play, somebody else in your team does. And so like in volleyball, the point's dead. Soccer, the game keeps going.
Yeah.
In softball, right, you strike out. I love using softball when it comes to failure because you fail 70% of the time and that's success, right? But I learned this from a friend who's a softball coach. She says the biggest thing they encourage is for you to encourage the next girl up to bat.
Yeah.
Or you miss a serve to encourage the next person, or you have a bad leg of a race to encourage the next person, whatever your sport is. Because it's taking even personally, it's taking what's hard and it's saying, okay, that got me, but it doesn't affect you. But I think part of what failure does to us when it's not handled well is it makes us like wallow and reflect inward. When we're meant to be gift and reflect outward, right? So when this is life, right? When we wallow and we close ourselves off, we hide in a room, it's usually not, we need time to process, but that's usually not the most effective thing we can do. It's go outside yourself, make a gift of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like you get stuffed and give me the ball again, but if it's going to somebody else, or somebody else has an opportunity, you go, hey, she struck me out, but watch this pitch, you got this. I believe in you.
Right.
And that's so powerful.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
So our takeaway to you today in this episode is to choose a statement. Write it on your wrist, on your mirror, on your shoe, anywhere. Find a statement that will get you out of that mental spiral. Yeah.
And then start implementing it. And if that isn't enough, then tell a friend.
Yeah.
Because I think we can, really, really reclaim how we handle failure. And then to my point in the beginning, is it really then failure when we learn from it?
Right.
I don't know.
Guess we'll never know.
Guess we'll never know. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching this episode, I'm wearing a shirt. This is one of our slogans at Fierce, and I just love it. And it says, wake, pray, slay, repeat. And I'm just going to impart that. So we pray that you wake, pray, slay, repeat. And it's funny because we're normally up really early as athletes working out. So know that we believe in you. Know that we're praying for you. If you struggle with handling mental toughness, with handling failure, with any type of, and we'll talk about this in further episodes and further months, mental health issues, know that we're here, right? Know that we're praying for you. Know that we've all had our struggles. The reason we're talking about these things is because we want to help you. But in a very specific way, from athlete to athlete, we will be interceding for you. We also encourage you, if this podcast has inspired you, if there is somebody on your team who maybe struggles to handle failure, maybe don't just like send them the podcast like blankly, because then they're going to be like, why did I send me, but say, hey, this really helped me. I think this could be a really important resource for you. And then, yeah, you can form that camaraderie. You can help each other with your statements. And finally, this podcast is made possible by the generosity of our listeners. And so we have a whole community that is formed on Patreon. We would encourage you to click that link. Give us a cup of coffee a month, if you will. That's all it really costs to join every month, to get some bonus content with some of our guests, and some exclusive content and things. And also it helps support this podcast. So we would appreciate your support in that regard. But until next time, know that we're praying for you, and God bless.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. And remember, be fierce.